Oh man, what a first week of the NFL. Of course, we're going to be talking Raiders. And then we're also going to be talking, what are we talking overdue?
Steelers, baby.
Okay, I'm here joined once again with Overdue Bobcat 50, which you can find him on Twitch at Overdue Bobcat 50. Of course, I am Dan the Man, aka Daniel's son, and man, I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little different right now. The reason that being is what a freaking wild game the Raiders and Ravens played last night. My voice, I could tell you when it completely shot out. It completely shot out with the big play to Edwards that we thought was the game-winning touchdown, but it wasn't. He was down on the 1 yard line. That's when my voice completely shot, and I couldn't talk no more. But I was able to recover. So we're going to be talking about the Raiders versus the Ravens, and then we're also going to be talking about the Steelers versus the Bills. And
Oh, yeah.
that was a hard fought win for the Steelers on that end as well. But I think we need to talk about one of the most entertaining, wildest games I have. Me, everybody. I mean, you never hear the Raiders get talked about on like First Take, ESPN, whatever. They never get the highlight reels or anything like that. But because of this game, everybody was talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. This was the first time the crowd, full capacity, was ready to go. Um, Steven, I was with my buddy Steven. We started the first half at B Dubs, and then we ended it at his pad. It was my son's. I had my son's customized jersey ready to go. We had a great time. So, let's talk about the Raiders and Ravens. Let's talk about the things I loved about the game and things I loved about the Raiders and things I absolutely hated because the Raiders still do Raiders shit, man. they still
They are the
do
Raiders.
stupid. They still do stupid ass shit. Let's go to the negative here. All right, I'm gonna go negative first because there's a lot of positive at the end of this game that I want to address. Um, Here's the negative: the O line, just like the Steelers, is very shaky. Our O line is very shaky. I have the decision to get rid of a lot of our veterans, and then some of our veterans wanting to leave. It's a bad taste in my mouth, and then Raider Nation. We saw this O line. It's not terrible. I think they got into the groove of things towards the second half. Carr did have some time in the pocket. He had quite a bit of time at some points. But Alex Leatherwood, one of our high draft picks, two penalties, and one of them being the dumbest penalty right there in a 1 yard line, second down. All we have to do is punch it in, and the dude commits a penalty. Doesn't Carr does a hard cadence, he jumps, and it makes it harder for us. And I thought the game was lost because after that penalty, incomplete pass to Renfro, and then Carr throws it, and it goes right out of the hands of Willie Snead, hits the helmet of a Ravens defender, another Ravens defender, catches it for an interception. I'm like, Raiders being Raiders, baby. Raiders being Raiders. So the offensive line, the run game was not there. That has to do, one of them has to do with we didn't really run the ball. We really passed it a lot. Carr attempted 50 attempts for Carr. He ended with I think over 400 yards, two TDs I believe, and one interception. But the run game was not there. Josh Jacobs being injured, he basically had toe turf, and then he also was sick. It wasn't COVID related. He was just not feeling good at all. But you could tell Chase throughout the whole game. After a couple runs, man, the dude was like he was hurting. They changed his cleat. I think they wrapped his ankle. He did get two TDs in the game, but I think he only had like 40 yards. So he was hurt throughout the game. You could just see it. Everybody saw it. The dude was limping. The dude wasn't running right. He did have that nice. I believe it was the first touchdown. He had a good like 15 yarder. about 15, 10 yards. I think it's 15. Really good cut, but it still wasn't Josh Jacobs. Not the fantasy hopeful Josh Jacobs that we all wanted. Even though he got 2 TDs, we got to really look to see. They didn't say anything how injured he is. But the run game, there was really no push, honestly, for the offensive lineman. Denzel Good, man, what a warrior, man. He went out, and then he came back in, and then now we find out he has a torn ACL,
Oh damn.
something like that. He's out. He's done for the year. So the offensive, we get rid of all these guys, but we keep one of them, and that's Richie Incognito. I like Richie Incognito, but what are you guys thinking? Do you think he's going to stay healthy the whole season? Because he's not. And clearly, that's evident of him not even starting in week 1. Richie Incognito was injured last year, and yet we keep him. I know he took a pay cut. Why, though? When we had Hudson, we had like other vets, but we keep Incognito. So the offensive line scares me. It's shaky. I think they will get better. Uh, Leatherwood needs to get better. He is a rookie, though. He is a rookie, but we're not going anywhere if we don't get any push in the run game. Kenyon Drake needs to step it up. He did fine during the game, but I hope he does get some big. We need big plays, and I hope he can contribute in that aspect if Jacobs is done, or for a little bit if he's injured, if he can't go week 2. The other thing too was, my God, drop passes. Even Waller dropped some passes that were right into his hands. Willie Snead, we saw that. That was maybe not the most accurate ball, but boy, did it hit his hands. You got to catch the ball. You got to catch the ball. Henry Ruggs had one. Henry Ruggs only had 2 receptions for about 49 yards. He had that nice, clean play. He got out. It was a beautiful throw and catch. That's the Henry Ruggs I want to see. But he did have a drop pass that was he could easily have caught. The drop passes were, once again, absolutely terrible. Once again, the Raiders seem to always drop Derek Carr's pass for some reason. The penalties, the Raiders are known for their penalties. I thought they cleaned it up a couple years back, but even in the playoff run, I thought they cleared it back too. Still evident for sure. The defense definitely was focused on Lamar Jackson, but they did allow some big runs, and Lamar is going to be Lamar, right, Chase?
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Lamar, like, you go after him and you bring him down as much as you can, but he will break off runs. You just have to expect that as a defense. Like, you can't stop it. Like, he is Lamar Jackson, so you just have to prepare for that, for those times.
He does this jumping motion where he's running in the pocket, and he just literally does like a Mario jump, and he's able to get rid of 2 defenders and then just go for big yardage. Honestly, I thought he was going to go for more through the whole game. I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to get way more yardage on his feet. But Latavius Murray got a touchdown. Was Tyson Williams?
Tyson Williams. Yeah, he
got a touchdown. So the running game did run on us quite a bit, especially the first half. The first half, yeah. We started slow, man. We didn't start our main starters in the preseason, so this was kind of like the first game to get into the groove of things. What a slow start, Chase. What a slow. Yeah. They were down 10-0, and then it ended up being 17-10.
Yeah.
Like they really started off. So their defense. Let's get into the positive side. The defense is a hell of a lot better than last year's defense.
Yeah.
Sure, there was some miscommunications here and there. Kurowski, always get his name wrong. Going against who got the touchdown for the Ravens? It was I can't remember his name. But Kurowski, our linebacker, was on coverage on him, and he totally got beat. So why is our linebacker, covering a wide receiver?
Yeah.
So But the defense, I thought, played great. They kept us in the game. Here was the key component, other than last year: turnovers, baby. We got turnovers. Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball twice.
Yep.
Key turnovers. That's what we were missing. I am so happy. Chase, you got TJ Watt on your team.
Yeah.
But you know I had to get this jersey when we drafted this man, and he played that first year. My
Nah.
boy Max Crosby,
He
Mad
played
Max,
really good. I watched it, and yeah.
was a beast. And what's so
Hmm.
great about our acquisitions, Yannick, he did get injured. I don't think it's a serious injury, but when you sign a guy like Yannick, that frees up a guy like Crosby a couple times. But at the end, Crosby was getting those double teams. But who stepped up? Nazib stepped up. He got that
Yeah.
key fumble at the very end. Nazib, that's a great sign. That's a great boost of confidence for him because we're going to need him with all the injuries that we're getting. Uh, like it always happens every year. We're getting injuries on the D line for sure. Um, I thought Abrams did great. He was level headed. He punched the ball when tight end Andrews caught it, and everybody thought it was a fumble, but he didn't make a move, so that was not a fumble.
I remember that was a good play.
What a great play, man! He
That was
punched
a
it
great
out.
play.
He hits a couple guys too. The guy
Yeah.
he's like a small ass guy, but that dude is a cowboy, bro. He's got cowboy strength. He could hit. I was very happy with the pressure on Lamar Jackson. Lamar looked uncomfortable the whole night.
Hmm.
Like I said, Lamar's going to get his yards though. Sometimes there was a couple times where they almost had him for a one arm tackle, just couldn't get him down. The scramble, and then he went to the side, and then he threw it for a touchdown. Third downs is what kills us a lot of times too. They converted a fourth down as well. They missed, I think, 2 times fourth down as well too. So even though the Ravens put up 27, that's a better performance out of the defense for sure. They kept the Raiders in the game. They kept them in the game.
Now I got a question. So
Yeah,
I want you to think about this. You guys said you struggled a little bit against the run. I mean, you didn't have Latavius Murray and both uh, Williams score a touchdown. I want
yeah.
to know. I want to think about how would the game been different if J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards was the running back instead of guys who like Latavius Murray was just signed a few days before that game. I wonder if that would have been a little bit harder for the Raiders to deal with.
Well, just
But
like the Marvel series, what if?
yeah, it's the what if. Yeah,
It's the what if. I mean, because the Raiders or the Ravens defense is ranked as one of the top 5 defenses, but because they were missing Marcus Peters and they
yeah,
were missing another good defensive player as well.
yeah.
That Marcus Peters changes the game. He's able to
He really does.
get turnovers as well. It is what it is. We were missing guys as well. Each side had injuries, so the what ifs. I think it's
Yeah,
a little bit. I think they have to play the run a little bit more if a J.K. Dobbins for sure is still in the lineup, or even a Gus Edwards.
yeah. Well,
I think
especially since the
Edwards.
wide receivers are non-existent.
Yeah, I think Edwards goes out for more routes for sure.
Mhm.
A little bit more of a safety blanket for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was okay. So one of the key surprises in this game, Chase, is Latavius Murray was getting the ball.
he's
And
good.
he just, oh no, he's good. He used to be a Raider. I used to
Yeah,
love Latavius Murray, but they just barely signed him. And they signed Le'Veon Bell 2 weeks prior or whatever. And yet they gave Murray the handoffs on this one.
well, Bell, I don't think is off the practice squad yet. He's still on the practice squad.
Yeah,
It was kind of like they put him on there, being promising that they'll bring him up when the season starts.
well, yeah, Harbaugh did say that there was a possibility.
Yeah,
Um,
I I think at this point, Latavius Murray is a better running back than Le'Veon Bell. So
that is yet to be seen, though. I'll say that
okay,
because I think Bell. Bell hasn't. He's still fresh. He hasn't gotten the RB wear down. He
I
hasn't played a lot.
I don't know because Andy Reid didn't want to use him. Like he was just if he was useful, Andy Reid would have found a way to use him in the Kansas City offense. He was non-existent in the Kansas City offense.
Well, here's the thing. They barely signed him when they were going to make that playoff run.
Yeah,
Um, I think Andy's system is a little bit more complicated
yeah,
than let's say the Ravens.
yeah.
I just think they didn't use him for. There was a reason they didn't use him. It wasn't just because they thought he wasn't good enough. I just think. Then you had Allaire. Believe Allaire came back
Clyde
too.
Edwards
Like they,
Helaire, yeah.
yeah. I think they just didn't. There was really not enough time for Le'Veon Bell. I think it would have been a different story if he was with the team through the whole year. You
Yeah,
know.
I get that.
So the Raiders too. The Raiders offense finally clicked because I was telling my buddy Steven, like, listen, we finally get a defense that can make some stops. We finally get a defense that's keeping us in the game. And the 27 points, you know what that 27 points came out of too? Is fatigue. They
Yeah,
were on the field a lot. They were on the field a lot. So, but the Raiders offense really clicked in the second half. Throughout the whole game, they were trying to go like the first half. Derek was just throwing it to Waller, which fantasy wise, I was like, hell yeah. But Raider fan wise, I was like, I want to see what these wide receivers can do. We didn't go after any wide receiver one for the reason that we believed in our wide receiver core. Renfro, third down Renfro, you could always count on that guy. He had huge plays down the end. I love Renfro, man. He's our little Cole Beasley, you know.
yeah,
Henry Ruggs did get those only two receptions, but he did a massive big play with him and Derek. Brian Edwards finally came alive. I love Brian Edwards. I've been saying that Brian Edwards is such a big body. He knows how to get up and go catch it. He did that when we thought he got that touchdown. That was a phenomenal catch, Chase. You gotta
yeah.
say it, dude. That was a
No,
freaking great
he's
catch.
finally showing a lot of what people have been talking about for like a year or two now since he's gotten drafted. People have swear that Brian Edwards is supposed to be a guy. Like a lot of people like in fantasy this offseason were like, he has no stats. He didn't do anything last year, but watch for this guy. He could be a big deal. And I think even the Raiders were talking him up in the preseason and stuff. So he showed flashes that game of like, yeah, this dude could be a guy.
And you got to remember, he was injured all year, and he came back to the final games last year. So he was in. This is kind of technically his rookie season, honestly.
Yeah.
The what I was so impressed with that catch is he came back for the ball, and he just beat the defender,
Yeah.
and he was able to still stick and move and run, and he almost had it. He almost had the touchdown. The Brian Edwards, the best thing to come out of that game was that catch and his confidence level going up. Because you have a game like that at the end, your confidence goes up. A lot of wide receivers have big plays, big time moments. I think that was Brian Edwards. T.O. had it. Uh, Randy Moss is just a freak of nature. That dude was going to be good no matter
Well,
what.
yeah.
And then Waller's birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, Darren Waller, because that dude was able to get his rhythm with Carr, and then they were able to score. Derek Carr. Let you guys know too, Marcus Mariota got injured. He had
Mhm.
one cool big ass play for like 37 yards or 27 yards. He ended up getting injured. So there goes our backup for a little bit. He'll be back though. But Derek Carr, a lot of hate for this man. I don't think Derek Carr is in the same discussion as Tom Brady, even Aaron Rodgers, even though he had the most shittiest game I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers really have.
It was bad.
I don't think he's up there with the elite like that, or even a Patrick Mahomes. But
For even a Patrick
football
Mahomes,
is a
Patrick Mahomes
team
is the
sport. The
yeah.
the quarterback is not the only one that wins it for you. The quarterback has to be sufficient, efficient, and not turn the ball over. That's what kind of Derek Carr is. Derek Carr will get you your points. He'll be conservative. He'll make sure that he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. That one interception wasn't on him. That was on Willie Snead. I think Derek Carr looked horrible in the first half. I thought his passes were too high, wasn't as accurate. It wasn't on the same page, but you could call it rust, whatever, because they haven't played really together in the preseason. And then he turned it up a notch in the second half. the one thing I love about Carr that a lot of people never talk about is he has game winning drives. The guy
Yep.
does a lot of game winning drives, and the drive sometimes some of those are not on the stats because he ends up losing by like 3 points from the other team, and that's the defensive fault.
Yeah.
Like he still drives the ball, and he does that. He to me he's like Tom Brady-esque like that. He
Yeah.
proved that. I was kind of screaming at him because I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because we only had like I think 37 seconds, but the dude time clock, the management he had, he was on fire. And then
Yeah.
Carson delivers that beautiful 55. Oh God, I was losing it. I was like, yes, baby. So Carr showed why he's the leader of the team. I still think he needs to improve on his accuracy. He needs to take chances. Mahomes is good because he takes chances. Andy Reid allows him to take chances. So, like, a third down and 20, I would like to see him actually sling it. You go for it. Ruggs is a speedster. But I think Carr I think Carr was impressive in the second half, and I look forward to him against your Steelers and see how he matches up with that defense. I think the Steelers will get a lot of pressure on him because our O line is really shot. But if Brian Edwards has the confidence and if Henry Ruggs can actually do something, I think we're going to be good. Darren Waller always going to get his catches. He's going to get his
Yeah.
yards. So that chemistry is right there, and that's exactly what he needs. He needs that safety blanket. If he's going to check down, also he's got Kenyon Drake, and I saw him check down to Kenyon Drake, and Kenyon Drake did do pretty well on those checkdowns. He really got that speed. That's why they went and got him so he could do the passing routes. But Derek Carr was impressive. He also, he knew zero coverage or whatever. He got Zay Jones, threw it up, game-winning touchdown. He was calm, cool, collective. Raiders very impressed on their resilience, even though they were shooting themselves in the foot. The old Raiders would absolutely fold, but they did not. They got a turnover. That's what I like to see. This is the type of game that builds teams. It's happened throughout the history of football, so I'm looking forward to the matchup, which we're going to talk immensely with the Steelers because it's already coming up. I can't believe it's already coming
Yeah.
up. So great win for the Raiders. Super happy. Glad the fans are there. You have to be vaccinated to go to Las Vegas to watch a game. But it looks like it was a popping crowd. The crowd was roaring in excitement. I watched Raider Report with Mitch over there. And Mitch, man, this morning he was covering all the news for the Raiders. So if you want to check out the Raider Report, go check him out. He was hungover. It was pretty, it was pretty funny. His voice was shot too, so that was a great Raider Report from him, and live play-by-play. But so the Raiders, we squeak out that win. It was a hell of a game. Lamar Jackson. Going on the Ravens side real quick, the dude doesn't really have any wide receivers either.
You stop him, you stop the Ravens. That's it. That's it. And he's hard to stop. Like that's a lot easier said than done. But you stop him, you stop the Ravens. Steelers have had no issues with him.
I believe it was Sammy Watkins that got that TD against Kozowski. And then also Hollywood Brown got one as well. But the dude doesn't really have that much help. And then, of course, the Ravens are a shit show when it comes to injuries. They have a lot of injuries on their team. Chase, I don't think I see them as an 8-8 team. Or there's more games, I believe, now too, huh?
Oh yeah, so it's either 9-8 or 8-9. There's no middle ground anymore.
I see a 9-8. I
see 9-8. Yeah.
I just think there's too much competition.
I think the injuries have got him too early.
Injuries have got him too early, and Lamar can't do it all by himself. And then the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense is, they're not. I don't think they're top 5 this year, honestly.
No. Works, Peter.
So good job, Raiders. We're going to be talking about Steelers and Raiders after we talk the Steelers versus the Bills. And Chase, you were
Buffalo
able to
Bill.
watch the game, of course. I
Oh,
didn't see the
in
game,
full.
but let me know what I saw the score.
Yeah.
And I was texting you, like, what the hell's going on? This is
He,
I had Chase Claypool in my
yeah.
fantasy, so I was like, why is this guy not producing? Granted, it's only week one, but why is he not producing as much as I thought he would? So give me a heads up. Give me
Yeah.
the goods, the bads, the ugly on the Steelers versus the Bills.
Yeah. So going into this game, everyone knew it was gonna be tough. Like to come out with a win against the Bills is not gonna be an easy task, especially because there was a lot of question marks with our Steelers. And kind of everything I thought the Steelers were gonna be heading to that game kind of came true. And that includes like the really bad part of the Steelers right now. But it also includes like the super awesome, great part of the Steelers. And it's the fact that our defense can carry us to the playoffs on their own. Our offense needs work. And it's it was man, it like starting that first half, like going that whole first half, I was just screaming in agony, like where the hell is this offense? Like this offense is non-existent. There's nothing there. And I knew it. And I knew it was going to be this way because we did the exact same thing the Raiders did. We're in the same exact situation. We got rid of all our veteran guys. All our veteran guys are gone on our offensive line. We got rid of Marquise Pouncey, who will probably be a Hall of Fame center. Well, he retired. Alejandro Villanueva, our left tackle, is now with the Ravens. He was crappy last year, and he sucked last night for the Ravens. So like they got rid of him for good reason.
I was gonna say a lot of the comments I heard from Steelers fans said, "Thank God we got rid of him."
Yeah, because he used to be good. Like he was good for a while, but last year you saw he had just digressed or whatever really bad. So when the Ravens picked him up, all of us were like, "Hell yeah, go to the Ravens and screw them up," because and he looked bad. So they got rid of him, and then David Castro was a huge loss. I didn't expect him to go. He was one of the best like pull guards in the league. Like when he pulled, he always helped the run game. But they got rid of him, and it's a fresh new two rookies, I believe, on the offensive line, including the center spot at Kendrick Green. And I mean, now we have the new rookie running back in Najee Harris, and you can just tell this was an offense. And Ben Roethlisberger said it before the game. Like he said, chances are we are not going to look that pretty. Like we have growing pains that we need to figure out. And it was very obvious in that the first half, that they could not get any push on that line. Ben was still looking like Ben of last year, where he was just slinging it 5 yards and hoping a guy could break loose for first down. Like they couldn't run the ball at all, and they just couldn't go deep with it. Like they weren't slinging it, which was bugging me because I want to see Ben sling it. Like that was my issue last year. We couldn't sling it, and this year we're still showing that we can't sling it. But goddamn, is that defense insane? That defense is nasty. Like it almost looks better than last year, which is hard to believe because we lost so many corners and even lost Bud Dupree. But we bring in Melvin Ingram. We got Cameron Sutton in the corner, dude. He had big plays in the secondary. I was really impressed with what I saw in him. Joe Hayden's a leader. We have Joe Hayden as a leader. We have Mika Fitzpatrick, who is just a safety that can just read every play and figure out where he needs to be. Cameron Hayward, man, he is the true captain of the Pittsburgh Steelers, dude. That dude is a monster. That defensive line, you had TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, and Melvin Ingram, who were all three in the top 5 for players for quarterback pressures and players of the weekend. So like the top 5 players of the weekend of all the teams that had quarterback pressure, 3 of them were the Steelers. The defensive line was just insane. They were making Josh Allen super uncomfortable. Like he just could not throw in the pocket. He had to move around. They were not letting him run that much. And the secondary was covering, and it was just one of the best. It was one of the best defensive performances I've seen of the Steelers, and that includes like the last couple of years where we've been still a top tier defense. So the defense, looking at it right now, healthy wise, that defense alone could carry us to a playoffs. Like that's just how good it is, because despite how bad the offense was for a while, that defense kept us in the game against a really talented Buffalo Bills offense. And when it comes to the Steelers offense, first half was bad. Second half, they figured out a little bit more. You can see a little bit of growth. A lot of people are going to look at Najee Harris, a lot of fantasy people who drafted him in the second round are going to be like, what the hell, Najee? Like, where's this guy at? Like, you got to give him time because this was his first NFL game. You can tell the offensive line wasn't getting pushed and that Najee was trying a little bit too much. Like, he was trying to go like he was in college and he can just always break out for a big play, which is just not – it's the NFL. It's going to be a little bit harder. But in the second half, you did see little spurts. He was able to get a little bit of movement. He was able to move out a little bit. I hope to see him in the passing game a little bit more because he can catch. So I don't know why they're not utilizing him in the passing game yet, but he should be. So if you're a fantasy owner of Najee Harris, do not be worried because this dude played literally 100% of the snaps. We did not put in another running back into our running back position. So his volume is there. They want him to be the lead back. So if you're like worried that he's not, he's gonna improve, and the Steelers want him to be the guy, and he's gonna get the volume, he's gonna get the carries, and at some point he's gonna start rolling. And the offensive line, again, improved a little bit. It showed a little bit better in the second half. It still was like it was hard for Ben to look comfortable in the pocket, but Ben, I think, still has it. I love Big Ben. There was a couple throws in this game that it was kind of like Derek Carr where he was a little bit inaccurate, but the dude, you can tell he still has that leadership, and he's still, like, in the preseason stuff, he was slinging the ball very, very well. And whenever he has time in the pocket, he will complete great passes, including the one touchdown the offense had to Deontay Johnson. He had plenty of time in the pocket. He looked to his left. He threw an absolute beautiful ball in the corner of the end zone to Deontay Johnson. I love our wide receiving core, and I want, if he has time to pass, this wide receiving core, I think each one of these wide receivers can be number ones on other teams. Deontay Johnson is a guy that they keep trying to – they want him to be our number one. Like, Deontay Johnson is a lot like Antonio Brown. He's very shifty. He can move around. He's a little bit smaller. I think, though, he does – him and Ben just every once in a while, like 2 or 3 of the throws Ben threw to him in this game, he just didn't seem on sync. Like, he didn't run the route Ben wanted him to run. He just doesn't seem to have that knowledge of, like, looking and figuring out what route he needs to run. And this is his 3rd year in the NFL. He needs to improve upon that because I've seen it. When he gets the ball in his hand, he's electrifying. But when it comes to the kind of figure out where he needs to run his routes, like when he needs to, like, depending on what the defense is showing, he does not seem to figure that out. He's not on the same page as Ben, and that's something that should have been fixed by now. But then Chase Claypool wasn't, like, wasn't big in this game. He did have an amazing catch against the corner, man. Like, it was one-on-one. He jumped right over that corner's head, man, and just caught. He showed how big he is. He's a big dude. I mean, let's remember, he is Mapletron. He is the size of Calvin Johnson and runs about the same speed as Calvin Johnson did. So he's got the build to be a big, great wide receiver. I still think as the season progresses, he will become our number one. Like, when he's out there, they want to target him, and it's obvious that he's got the skill set and the power and the strength to be the number one guy. I don't think he's going to be like Deontay Johnson and Juju, though, where he's going to go like little 5-yard routes and they're going to dump it off to them and hope he runs it for a first. I think they want big playability from him, and because he can produce that. And right now they can't do that because the line is still learning how to block. It's a young offensive line. You can tell they're learning, man. And Ben was right. It's going to take a minute for them to figure things out, to get going. But I love Chase Claypool this year as a wide receiver, as a fantasy player. That's why when you sent me that trade, I said, gotta do it. I think Claypool. Like, I have Juju on my bench, but I'm like, I'd way rather have Claypool because I think he's gonna have the big playability.
I wanted to keep Claypool, but as we talk later on, I have a running back issue.
Yeah.
So, and there's not a lot of people in our league who's going to give me a running back for Chase Claypool, even though I know the potential this guy has, especially going middle season later on. He's going to put up points. The dude's going to get his catches. But we'll talk about fantasy in a little bit. So yeah, the game, man, the game is like, I did see that Chase. I saw that catch on the highlights and stuff. So and then where was Juju though?
So Juju at? I think Juju is. I wouldn't be a huge fantasy guy on him. Like, I have him on my bench, but I kind of have him reluctantly. But I really love him as a wide receiver at the same time. And the reason I say that is because Juju is he just doesn't have the big play that he had the first 2 years of his when he first 2 years of his career with the Steelers. He had some big plays. I mean, he had two like 100-yard catches, touchdown catches in the same year. Like he had big playability. But his role in the offense has shifted. He has said that he loves the idea of Chase Claypool and Deontay getting their catches. Like he wants to be a team player. He doesn't worry about having having the biggest stats in the league. He wants to be the best that he can be. He wants the ball, of course, but he's more like he wants the team to win. He'd rather have the team win. And when it comes to Juju, out of our three wide receivers, he is the most reliable. When you need a first down like your Humphrey, Juju is the guy you should go to. He will get that first down. He will fight for it. He will make the plays. He will go in the middle of the field, risk it and knock the fuck out, and still try to catch that ball. Like he did. Went in the middle field. He got knocked the hell out. Didn't catch the ball because two dudes freaking ran him in. Didn't matter. He still got back up. He still played, and he still caught a ball right in the middle of the field not too long after that. He's not afraid. He's actually a lot tougher than a lot of people realize. They have so much hatred towards him because of the TikToks things, because he seems like all these TikToks, all these YouTubers, a Twitch gamer and all this stuff. Like he's just a kid and all this, but he's our toughest player on that offense, in my opinion. Like he really shows a lot of grit. He is the most reliable out of our wide receivers when you need a first down or you need a big play in a big moment. So I love Juju as a Steelers wide receiver. I'm glad he chose to stick with us for at least one more season. Yeah.
So what was the final score of the game?
It was 23-16, I believe. Let me double check that. So 23-16. Yeah. Where's the game? Yeah, 23-16. We did have a block punt. So the Steelers scored a touchdown on offense. That's the only touchdown we scored on offense. And that's what, we got into the red zone, I think, a total of 3 times. Just couldn't punch it in on 2 of them. Had to settle for field goals. Which was an issue. And then, of course, there was the Deontay Johnson touchdown catch. That was the only time. And that was all in, the third quarter. The second half. First half, we couldn't move the ball at all. Second half, we were able to move it a little bit, but wasn't electrifying. Didn't have no big plays. We got scores. We moved a little bit, but it was not fun to watch that offense still. The defense is what's exciting. The defense was really good. A lot of people get bored by that stuff, but that was awesome. And the special teams, of course, with that block punt, scoring the touchdowns, special teams is a part of the game, and that at the end of the day won us the game. Yeah.
Okay, so the Steelers got a dub, the Raiders got a dub, and now we will be facing each other this coming Sunday. I believe it's a morning game. Pacific time, it's 10 a.m. over here. I'll actually be at work, but I'm able to actually watch or listen to the game at work, which is awesome. So let's talk the Raiders versus the Steelers. I mean, this is the Black and Yellow podcast, and our teams got to match up this year. Now, I will say the keys to winning against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Chase is absolutely right. If you're a Raider fan, don't be delusional. The Steelers defense is probably one of the best defenses in the NFL. There's a reason why they gave TJ Watt a lot of money. There's a reason why Ben Roethlisberger came out and said, took a pay cut for this mofo to get more money. He understands the defense is key for the Steelers to go to the playoffs and maybe make it pretty far. But so that's the thing with the Raiders, man. It's kind of crazy because the Steelers are in the same situation as the Raiders when it comes to the offensive line, and on the other side of the ball. So if the Steelers are going to put pressure on their ass, and it's going to be a hard ass. I mean, this is going to be a crazy game. I think it is going to be mostly a defensive type game. I think this is one of those defensive games because, yes, the Steelers overall are just the most complete defensive team. But if the Raiders are able to continue to apply pressure, I know we got a couple of dinged up defensive player injuries, but luckily our secondary wasn't injured. You know what? What's crazy is some of our draft pick, David Arnett, took only 1 snap in defense. Absolutely crazy. They're going to get Cleano Farrell, can never say his name right. He was a healthy scratch, but I'm pretty sure they're going to bring him back in because of McCoy gone. So they're going to probably have him get ready to suit up. So My keys to beating your Steelers, Chase. The keys to beating you guys is, first of all, I mean, number one, the offensive line has to be able to. I think the Steelers are going to get a couple takeaways. I absolutely believe they're going to get some sacks. But if the offensive line can at least do a decent job, and if Derek Carr could, if Waller is able to continue his momentum from Monday night, and then our wide receivers, the big thing is Henry Ruggs needs to step up because I think speed is going to be one of the points that can kill this defense. If Henry Ruggs can beat a guy and go down the field, because Henry Ruggs is the one of the fast. He's like the cheetah, man. He's super fast. But the guy needs to catch the ball. The guy needs to win the one-on-one battles. He needs to be aggressive. If we could do the deep ball against the Steelers, because the pressure is going to come up front. We don't want anything of TJ Watt. We got to watch that guy. We got to watch all these guys who are absolutely pro bowlers. But if we could go over the top, I think that's one of the keys. And that's why I have to say the O-line has to do at least a decent job. If they are absolutely horrible, it's going to be a long day for the Raiders. A second point, or I should say a third point of key to winning is the run game. I don't know how healthy Josh Jacobs is at this point. I honestly don't think he's going to play on Sunday. Huge blow. So that means Kenyon Drake, either his checkdowns and getting a nice, he really needs to blow up. He needs to make plays. I'm not expecting him to make plays every time he gets a check down, but one of those check downs he needs to break for a 20-yard, even maybe to the house. That has to happen. The run game has to be there. I think they need to use the fullback a little bit more. Ingold. I love the Raiders bringing it back to the early 2000s, 90s, using our fullback. Ingold is a great pass catcher. He's a good 1-yarder. When they were at goal line chase, I was like, give it to Ingold. Give it to Ingold. He's our like Zach Kroc. Give it to Ingold.
No.
They didn't do that. Well, clearly because of the penalty, and that's the other thing too. The penalties, man. The penalties are killing us. The referees hate us sometimes too. Some of those penalties are so questionable. Absolutely, right? Tom Brady gets the penalties for him. The Raiders get the penalties against us.
We're going back to the Tuck rule.
Oh, goddamn. Yeah. Listen, if I'm John Gruden and everybody's celebrating after that win, I go up to everybody. I'm like, why are you guys celebrating? Yes, you guys are fought hard. You won. There's no reason to celebrate. Look at the penalties. Look at the stupid mistakes you guys did. Look at the drops. I showcase the negative, and I say, you want to celebrate? Fix it. Clean it up. We're going against the Steelers. This is not going to be like the Ravens. The Steelers do have a great wide receiver core. And yes, they have a great offense. If they're clicking and if we don't do our jobs and if we're lined up right, I think we'll be fine. We didn't give up too many deep plays or too many crazy plays against the Ravens. The reason that happened is because Lamar Jackson, the guy knows how to scramble. He's quick. He's young. Here's one of the keys. Ben Roethlisberger is older. He could still get out of pocket, but he's not as fast as he used to be. I know he lost a lot of weight. He's still older. If the defensive line, my boy Max Crosby, can lead that defensive line, Ben is going to be hurting. And that's exactly how we're going to win the game. I think it's the defense that has to step up. I'm not saying they're going to be elite level as the Steelers, but if that defensive line is elite level, we definitely have a chance to make Ben feel uncomfortable. For him, what does Ben do? He makes mistakes. He made mistakes last year. He can make mistakes this year. So if we can get a lot of turnovers ourselves, I think we're going to be in prime condition. And yes, I want touchdowns, but if it's 4th and something and we have a chance for a field goal, instead of going for 4th and 2 or whatever, take the points. The points are going to go a long way for this game. So those are my keys to being the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a close game. I think Waller is going to be a key factor in our wide receiver core. to keep us in the game. But the defensive line, they're gonna. That's the I think that's the star of what we need to do to win. If you get Ben under pressure, I don't care how good of a wide receiver core you are. It's it's hard to throw when you got two guys almost on your back.
Yeah.
So what are your keys, Chase?
Yeah, for the Steelers, it's pretty simple. I trust their defense fully. Like at the end of the day, the Raiders could score, a few touchdowns, but I don't see much room for them scoring over like 20 points because the defense is really hard to deal with. But that could be enough to beat the Steelers with the way the offense is running so far. So for us, we need to see improvement on that offensive side. We need a little more push from the offensive line. The biggest thing is we need to find a way to get Najee Harris involved. We need him to be the breakout player that we want him to be, because last season we knew that when we started losing, it was because we had no run game. We had zero. When Ben has a run game, he is like 100. He has like 105 wins to like 20 losses. And when he doesn't have a run game, he's like 57 to 59. He loses when we have a run game, when we don't have a run game, and he wins when we do. It helps take pressure off him when they have to worry about, hey, Najee Harris can break free for one. I'd like to see him a little bit more in the passing game. Like, hey, if you want to do check downs, like if you want to do these short yardage plays, which Steelers do a lot of with Deontay Johnson, give Najee some of that. Najee, like, let him get the ball and break loose and break some tackles out in the open field. So find ways to get Najee involved. God damn it, throw deep. Like, find a way. And it is hard because Ben is old. Ben cannot move like he is. There was still a couple times this weekend where he did show that he's a hard guy to bring down, but he just doesn't have what he used to be. So he needs protection. And if we can get bombs down the field, man, we have the guys to catch him. Deontay is speedy. He can get open. Chase Claypool, of course, is a monster. So we need to run the ball better. We need to get Najee involved somehow, and we need to start chucking the ball downfield better. We can't sleep on the Raiders, because the Raiders this last weekend had the better offense. Like that was obvious. Like I watched both games, and I love my Steelers offense. Like I like the players there, but we just can't figure it out for some reason. The Raiders, like Derek Carr has it way more figured out, even though they were a mess at times. He really led that team towards the end of the game. And that was like, if we keep this game close, Derek Carr can win the game. Like that's very much in the possibility. Derek Carr has done it plenty of times. He can do it again. So if we want to win this game, we got to get points on the board. We got to score higher and try to run away with it. Like that's kind of our best option, because if we keep it close, Derek Carr can win that game, even with, but we got to get Najee involved. Got to get Najee involved. It's probably my number one thing. Number one, get into. And of course, on defensive side, you got to figure out how to slow down Darren Waller. You're not going to stop him, but you got to figure out how to slow him down.
That's all you could do. I mean, that's the same with the Ron Gronkowski's, the Travis Kelce. They're still going to get their points, but you got to slow them down.
Yeah.
For us, I think we got to slow down Chase Claypool. I think Claypool could have a monster game if Ben throws it up. A lot of our guys are not as tall as Claypool. Some of our guys are rookies. So I think Morig are one of our steal in the draft last year. I hope Morig just gets a chance to really showcase what he could do. He's a rookie. He wasn't burnt last game. He wasn't too crazy impressive, but I'm impressed with the fact that he went into his first Monday night NFL game and he was able to not get burnt. And like Damon Arnett in his first try was just getting destroyed last year. So I like this kid. I think he's going to have to help out with that Claypool. And then also, like I said, man, the special teams. I'm super happy with the special teams, especially last night's performance with Carson hitting that 55-yarder. But a lot of people are sleeping. It's all about field advantage. So if we could pin the Steelers, back almost to the end zone. The punting team was phenomenal last night. The punting team did their job. There's a couple times there was some missed tackles that the other team did get a couple more yards, and they were almost middle field. But the punts were just massive, man, by our punter. Raiders seem to always get a damn good punter in our team.
Have you seen our new punter?
I have not.
He's a big boy. He's a big boy. Like he looks like you. He's a big boy.
So he's a tackler.
Yeah, he's a big boy, dude. He's a chubby guy.
I could see a big boy punter on your team, though.
Yeah, he had a
For
bad punt
Pittsburgh.
this last week. He did have
Yeah.
one bad punt, but like during the preseason stuff and all that, he won the job and he did look really good. Like he had some really great put teams in bad field positions and stuff like that. So there's a lot of promise with him. His leg, he's got a cannon for a leg. So yeah, I like the look of him.
Okay, Chase. I know we did predict a lot of our final scores on our schedule, but
Yeah,
now that we saw the first game, I mean, we could be off a little bit on our
yeah.
final score. So, what are you going to score this game? Obviously, you're going to go Steelers. So,
Yeah,
what do you
I
got?
think logically Steelers are going to win. I think that's just that defense is going to be too much for Carr to handle. Like they don't need a blitz. Like that's going to be an issue. The Steelers don't need to blitz to get pressure, and that's a big deal. Like that's a huge deal for defenses. And I think the Steelers will start clicking more and more. At least that's the hope I have. So um, I'm going to go with a 21-17 score. I'm a
You
21
were
to 17
me and
Steelers.
you were like almost on the same page right there.
Yeah.
I am going to say this is a close game. I'm going to say the Raiders squeak by. I think the Raiders overall, I think they're a little bit more if they got things going, if they can get it going and not have a slow start like last night. I think they're a little bit more of a balanced team. But the Steelers defense is just
To
phenomenal.
elite.
And I mean, I have them in my fantasy. There is a reason why I have them.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna go. I think the Raiders, after such a hard fought battle, that helps them out. That gives confidence to a lot of our players. I'm gonna go 2017, the Raiders. So we're gonna find out. It's gonna be a good game. I have a couple bets on the line on this one too. Jersey to Jersey. I think we have a bet as well. So it's gonna be freaking interesting. So
Oh yeah.
may the best team win.
Yeah.
Um,
Bragging
all
rights.
right, we are going to get in our fantasy football talk.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people enjoyed our last our fantasy football live draft. My buddy keeps talking about it, and he was laughing because you were always mad at him, apparently, for a lot of his picks.
Probably.
Probably
Oh, and on our actual draft, yeah, he probably
in our
sucked. Which
actual
one? Wait,
draft,
which one is he? Let me
he's
look
the
for him.
destroyer.
Destroyer. Let me see his team. It was 1-0, so I guess I can't talk too much shit.
Oh yeah, he won it. The Raiders gave him that victory for sure.
Oh, I think I was pissed at him because he took a couple of my players. Because he took Tyler Lockett,
Yeah, I
Antonio
think he
Brown.
was he like right next to you on the draft
I
list?
think so. He got Chris Carson. The Derek Carr pick, I think I was what I hated. I think he took Derek Carr like super early. And I was like,
Paid
that's
off.
really. I mean, yeah, for week one, it paid off. Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. But he's definitely a freaking Raider lover.
Yes, we are. Okay, so I'm in 3 leagues. Guess what, people? I won in all 3 of my leagues, including the league that me and Chase are in.
Yeah.
I definitely squeaked by on that. The reason why it was a hard fought win by me is because I drafted Rashard Moister. I believe that's how
Hmm.
you say his name. I don't give a fuck how you say his name. The guy is out pretty much for the season. I think I heard he's going to get surgery. Last time I looked news wise, if you were drafted with Shard Moster, you knew like I think everybody was frustrated on drafting this guy. Mitchell, the rookie, looked really good for the 49ers. So this is what I'm going to say. I am in a little bit of a pickle here. So if you have Rashard and my second running back is Alvin Kamara. This is why I wasn't too worried because Alvin Kamara, you got to think about this. Not only does he get receptions, but he's a hell of a running back as well. If he stays healthy, guess what? If you have Kamara, you have 2 running backs, technically, because he could put up that much numbers. So all you need is a running back. If you need to start on somebody else and you're not confident in your bench running backs, all you need is a running back to at least get you 10 points to be consistent. That will keep you in games. That could even maybe help you just overwhelm opponents because you have Kamara, or if you have maybe a Delvin Cook, a Christian McCaffrey for sure. So if you have top running backs, all you need is another running back to be consistent. So for this league, all my other leagues, I don't have Kamara. I did I did draft Rashard Mostert, but I have I had Delvin Cook in one of my other leagues. The other two leagues, I was super dominant, man, super dominant. Let me look at my team. So one of my leagues, here we go. I did draft Moistert again on my other leagues, but I have Delvin Cook, did pretty good, not too bad. The Vikings, I don't know, are gonna. The Vikings are the Vikings. Uh, and then I do have Leonard Fournette, and I did get T. Williams on that other league too. I am trying for. I got some waiver wires going, some pending moves. I'm gonna try for some players, but the thing. So I did make a trade to this guy Chase. So I did give up Clay. If you have Clay Chase pool, I think in other leagues you can get a little bit more out of them. But I need to get a running back. Yeah, I am trying for waiver wires too. I do got Gallman from the Atlanta Falcons. They got Mike Davis, but I think Gallman might actually be a really good backup. I think he'll get some points. I traded for Leonard Fournette. I know Ronald Jones was announced as the starter for week 2, but Leonard Fournette is still going to get his touches. He's still going to get his runs, and he still can get receptions. That Tampa Bay offense is just too good. And so I would still start Leonard Fournette. Or if you do end up getting Mitchell on the waiver wire, I would definitely start Mitchell. And then also Latavius Murray, man. I mean, I would pick that guy up. Obviously, the Ravens used him a lot. And then also, I don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to really do anything. So it looks like Latavius Murray. They even have Devontae Freeman on there. So if you're hurting, those are the guys you need to start. Either Leonard Fournette if you want to go after him, or also definitely get Mitchell. And if you do have a great bench of running backs, definitely, it's definitely an L. You have to drop Moisture and you have to go looking for the waiver wire, or you make a trade. Like Nelson Aguilar is a good trading prospect if you need a running back. So if you have Nelson Aguilar, yes, I believe he's going to put a lot of points up this year. The Patriots, that's their go-to. But if if you have already a balanced team, because I have a balanced team and I just need that one key piece, you should go after a running back just to keep the consistency of getting points. Because even if you have one RB1, your RB2 is still definitely relevant. So, and then also, if Kenyon Drake is out there, go get him. Josh Jacob is banged up. I don't think he's going to suit up for week 2. And if he does, he's not going to get the workload that a lot of people think he is. So I would go after him. D. Williams, I believe, on the Lions. Swift tore it up. But I don't expect Swift to do that all the time. D. Williams did get a couple carries, some good yardage. So I would go after him on the waiver wire as well. I was able to get Jameis Winston. Last minute, I dropped Matt Ryan, got Jameis Winston. I know everybody's going to go after him. Do not start Jameis Winston just yet, unless you're desperate. But you need to go pick him up and keep him on the bench because you don't know. I mean, he could still maintain some big numbers because it is the Saints. It is Sean Payton's system, and there is a lot of weapons there. I don't know what's going to happen with Michael Thomas, but we'll see. So those are my key waiver wires acquisitions or pickups or advice going into week 2. What about you, Chase?
Yeah, so for me, I'm doing a lot of fantasy this year. I kind of got myself tied into it a little bit too much, but I'm doing it. I'm going full board. I'm in 7 leagues. I I won 5 out of those 7 leagues. So, I had 2 losses, but at the end of the day, my win total was very good. 5-2 is very solid for 7 fantasy leagues. I took the loss in our league. I took it. I bit it. It hurt because I could have won if I didn't make the stupidest move ever of getting too scared on Swift and putting him in my bench. If I'd started him, I would have won. I got scared, put someone who I thought had a good matchup, but I ended up putting 0 points. I will be dropping Russell Gage from my team. It's not even a question. I'll drop him. You can take. I'll trade him to you if you want him.
Trade. I just want to take him.
Take him because he could be relevant in the future, but I don't like Atlanta's offense right now. I'm kind of avoiding them.
Atlanta was pretty garbage.
They were bad. They were really bad, and to a point. Like I know it's overreaction week 1. You got to be careful not doing that. I got him really late. I'm not really that sold on Russell Gage. I like him, but I'm not sold on him. So I'm avoiding that offense. They are cause concern there, but he'll be dropped. I'm gonna be going after some other guys. So if I just started Swift, would have been good. I love Cooper Cup. I love Cooper Cup. You said it yourself with Matthew Stafford on our team. Ram guys right now are someone you want to look at because Matthew Stafford is really going to elevate that offense.
And I
I got
have Matthew
Tyler.
Stafford on that starting lineup, baby.
Yeah, and you should, man. And I got Tyler Higbee too at the tight end position. I went for him in a lot of leagues where I couldn't get one of those elite tight ends. And he produced decently, got 11 points. He was solid. So he did what a tight end at least needs to do and get their projected or beat their projected points, which is what you want from a late round tight end. And I think he can produce a little bit more as the season progresses. So I was really happy with that, now, and looking at my other leagues, there was one league, man, where I have my dynasty league. I have a trio of amazing running backs. An amazing team in general, but I was really let down by them. I won, but really let down. Derrick Henry didn't do crap. Didn't do anything. Dalvin Cook did something towards the end, finally. It was still a lackluster game for Dalvin Cook standards. Mm-hmm. And Austin Eckler got that first touchdown and really didn't do anything after that. So I was really disappointed on those three fronts because those three guys should be great.
I want to panic on Austin Eckler. I think he's going to have huge. I think he's going to have a great season.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook is. I think if he stays healthy, he's known to get injured, banged up a little bit here and there. We'll be fine. Yeah. I didn't draft Derrick Henry, because he's inconsistent sometimes. Sometimes he could have monster games, and then sometimes he could just put up 50 yards, and it's ridiculous. He's a big guy, Yeah. And he's not used in the passing game. That's the problem.
That's a big deal.
Year.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
If you have Henry, I would have a little concern over you're going to get some points, some games here and there, but if you're looking for him to be consistent, I don't think that's the case. They did throw to him, I believe, 3 times, but he's not going to be in the passing game, especially if they're down a lot of points. So Derrick Henry, if you can, I would actually make a move to try to trade him.
Yeah, but still get a lot for him. He is Derrick Henry, so if you're trading him, get someone big. Like you definitely need. Like at the end of the day, he's Derrick Henry. I think he will have his big games. I think and I've said this kind of this weekend, and maybe it's a reaction again. I kind of like Nick Chubb better for this season.
No, I love Nick. So Nick Chubb injured
it wasn't for Kareem Hunt. I would love Nick Chubb even more.
Nick Chubb is a monster. This dude has to be on your fantasy. I wanted to get him, but you can't pass Kamara up. You can't pass, McCaffrey, Delvin. You just hope and pray that guys don't go after Chubb in the second round. Of course, he went out, and I was just absolutely bummed I couldn't get him at least in one of my teams, in all 3 teams. But if you have Nick Chubb, you are in fantastic hands. The only problem with Nick Chubb is he fumbles. He tends to fumble a lot. But other than that, and then he is injury. Sometimes he could be injury prone, but he's looking strong. He's looking good. Definitely in the starting lineup for sure.
Yeah. We got to talk about Christian McCaffrey a little bit. I have him in 2 of my leagues, including yours. And having him on your team is just one of the most awesome things ever. Like, I know that, dude, if he plays, every game that he plays, you're guaranteed almost getting 30 points from him. Like, I told you before the podcast, this dude it was the number 1 running back of the week with no touchdowns. That's really hard to do. If the Carolina Panthers could change their logo, it would be of Christian McCaffrey's face. He is their offense. He is their number 1 wideout. He is he gets so many targets in the passing and when it comes to catching. So he gets the targets. He can run like a beast. He is really hard to stop. I'm happy to have him. Of course, like with so much workload, like this dude will have probably the most workload of any running back in the league. You got to be a little fearful that he can hurt something. But as long like every game that he plays for you, because every game I've ever had him play for me, even last season when he only played 3 games for me, the dude scores at least almost 30 points every time. So having that is just awesome.
He's gonna get injured.
No, he's not. Don't put that in the world, man. I need him.
He's going to get injured, people. It might not be in the first 3 games, but it's going to be somewhere in the middle or towards the end. The dude, I think, is going to get. If I had to choose anybody who's going to get injured this year, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, just
Yeah,
because of all, just because Chase picked him at number
yeah.
one.
Yeah, and because you mentioned a lot of the waiver wire pickups, I agreed on most of them. Mitchell is a guy I think a lot of people should go for. With the 49ers having one of the best run attacks in the league, he's
Well,
someone needs to get that rushing yard. So I think he'll be one of
yeah,
the guys.
he
There's
looked
a
very impressive.
he looked really good, and the Trey Sermon I have in one of my leagues. I don't know what the hell's going on there. They didn't start him for some reason. Didn't put him in the game at all. So I have no
Definitely
idea what to do with him. Yeah.
keep him. Definitely keep him on
Oh,
your
yeah.
bench because even though Mitchell looked impressive, they will
He could come
utilize
out.
Sermon.
Yeah.
Even Sermon might even come up on a number one RB.
Yeah.
That's still a possibility. I forgot what the reason why they scratched him, but with now
Yeah.
Moister out, Sermon's going to
There's
be
more. Yeah.
coming up. Yes. Another
Um.
one that I really wanted to talk about real quick, Chase, is this is a huge pickup that I believe most of the leagues did not pick this guy up, did not start him, but this man did his homework. He watched a lot of fantasy football videos, and one of the callers got it right. Absolutely happy. The dude had hops. Jameis Winston loves to use his tight ends. I picked
Uh,
up Juwan Johnson off the after my draft. I went out and I did not like Schultz. I didn't want to. I had Schultz as my tight end. I wasn't able to get one of the top tight ends. It would have been great to get Hodgkins from the Lions. I didn't know how much he was going to blow up like that. Of course, everybody wants Waller, KC. So if you're in a league that absolutely uses their tight end and you do not have a great tight end, if you did pick up a Schultz, if you picked up even Austin Hooper, I think Austin Hooper didn't do that bad. I would actually go in after I dropped Schultz and I went for Juwan Johnson from the New Orleans Saints. And the dude caught 2 touchdowns. I don't think he didn't have too many catches for yards. He had he had 21 yards but 2 touchdowns. So this dude's a red zone threat. The reason why he didn't have that many yards as well is because the Saints were blowing him out of the water. There was really no need to use the tight end. The Saints just absolutely crushed. Who they play against? They played against
the Packers.
Green Bay. Like they crushed them.
Yeah.
There was no need. I think I also I did get wrong. I thought Callaway would have a huge game because Winston and Callaway had great chemistry.
Yeah.
I think that Callaway will still get some points later on, but if you can, drop Callaway and go for Brian Edwards. I think Brian Edwards is a better shot than Callaway.
I
But
agree
if
at
you
this
need
point.
a tight end and he's there, get Juwan Johnson from the New Orleans Saints. The dude is going to be a red zone threat. The guy is big. He is kind of like a Rob Gronkowski. He's just not going to produce as many yards and might not even many catches, but you always have an opportunity to get some touchdowns out of him.
Yeah, one guy that I want people to keep an eye on, not necessarily go out and grab just yet, but keep an eye out on is if the Bills, they didn't have that great of an offensive week, but if their offense picks up like the Bills they were last year, they did pick up a little wide receiver named Emmanuel Sanders. And he had a couple good plays in that game against us in the Steelers. I was really impressed with what I was seeing. I think Stephon Diggs, of course, the clear-cut number one. I don't think Cole Beasley is the clear-cut number two. He can be reliable, but I think Emmanuel Sanders can be a guy that gets big plays off of Josh Allen. So I would keep a lookout, at least keep an eye on him for a minute, see what he's doing, see how he produces in the next couple weeks if that offense picks up and what he gets out of it. There's also guys you need to that if you have right now, I think that you saw in week one do really good, who I think will continue being really good and could help you win your fantasy leagues. And 3 guys come on top of the mind. One guy is Antonio Brown. If you were one of the guys that got Antonio Brown later, which I have him in a couple of my leagues, I think he's going to be a big deal. I think
Absolute
he's going to
flex.
be an absolute flex, possibly a wide receiver 1 or 2. There's so many weapons on the Bucks that there could be definitely some down weeks where like Mike Evans gets it, Chris Godwin gets it. Like that's what's hard about having so many weapons on an offense. But there's a chance, and a fantasy footballer said this, like Antonio Brown could be the leader of passing yards and touchdowns for the Bucks. Like that, with the chemistry him and Tom Brady have, like that's a very real possibility, I believe. And so if you have him, I think you definitely have a gem in a player that you got in the later rounds. He's going to outperform his value by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then two guys, I was really impressed with DeAndre Swift. I was really happy. I got him later in our draft. I was very hesitant on it. I put him on bench, being like, oh, I can't trust this. I don't trust it against this really tough defense and all that stuff. But he produced, and I think the way he produced made me think this dude, Detroit just doesn't have anything other than T.J. Hawkinson, and their second best wideout or pass catcher after that is Swift, and Jamal Williams is the third best after that. Like their wide receivers are non-existent. They're going to feed DeAndre Swift as long as he's out there. Jamal Williams is also a guy to look at in leagues because he, of course, produced a lot. I don't think he'll be that every week. I think you have more of a chance with Deontay, of course. But if Deontay gets hurt at all, he's an obvious a flex guy. I think DeAndre Swift's going to be big for my team this year. I was really happy with what I saw. I don't think he won't get those 25 points every week, but he could definitely produce better than at least I had predicted. And for the round I got him, and I think he'll produce really well. Another guy who I've had 2 years in a row and has really let me down because of injury. I kind of wanted this year, but I avoided because of that, that bad taste in my mouth. But if you have Joe Mixon, I think Joe Mixon will be a big deal too. He had a great game. He is an awesome pass catcher. They really love using him. He got like 30 targets he got a crap ton of use. And they're definitely a pass happy team right now. They want to pass the ball. He's one of their targets, and he produces. He runs very well. He made a lot happen with a nothing offensive line that week. I think Joe Mixon, of course, if healthy, this has been the big issue with him in the last 2 years, is he produced a little bit, but he was not healthy for a lot of games, so it hurt me
He's
deeply.
Get injured.
And that's a possibility. But if he doesn't, I think he's going to be great.
95% chance he's getting injured.
But, yeah.
So two guys I think you got to worry for on your fantasy team is one Ezekiel Elliott. This guy just doesn't produce as much as he used to. Yes, I mean, it's week 1. It's against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has a pretty good defense. But Ezekiel Elliott has not shown me anything in these last couple of years. And they use Pollard quite a bit. I was actually, frankly, kind of shocked how much more they were using Pollard. Zeke is just a consistent man, which is good. If you have, Delvin Cook, Kamara, yeah, it's great to have like Zeke in there. But I'm pretty sure Zeke was one of the first running backs to get off the board in round 1. But if you have him, there is some cause of concern. If you're hoping for like a 20-point game every game, that's not going to happen. I think the Dallas Cowboys are such a pass-happy team and they use Pollard in a lot of those as well scenarios. Don't expect Zeke to have a monster year. He might have a decent year, but I think you got to push the panic button a little bit. You got to see, of course, if you have him, you got to start him. You picked him. You got him. I would have went Nick Chubb over. I would have picked Nick Chubb over Elliott. Yep. But it is what it is. So start him. But I'm just telling you, if you're looking to blow up and you're looking for big points, you don't have that strong of a balanced team, you need to go to the waiver wire and see if there's anybody wide receiver wise that can give you those points. Another one I want to just say I'm not too fond of. I've never been fond on this guy. He does once again have games here and there. But Mike Evans is a guy that there's just so many weapons on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got to know who Brady loves. Who does he love? He loves Antonio Brown, which that's why I think me and Chase believe that this guy is going to be a monster this year. If he doesn't do shenanigans off the field, hopefully
very
not.
Real possibility.
I took a risk. I got him, and I got him in the later rounds. But it's a guy I need on my team because I think he is one of those guys I went and picked up because I knew that he could generate some big points if need be. And obviously it worked out because he's one of the players that I got that end up having me win week 1. So Mike Evans, the problem is Tom Brady loves Antonio Brown, but not only Antonio Brown, he loves Rob Gronkowski. I'm super shocked. One of my leagues nobody picked him up. If I would have knew that nobody picked him up, I would have picked him up. He's a guy that why do people believe that he's you know, lost it. Clearly, he hasn't. In the Super Bowl, he was a monster. If he's with Brady, they're gonna generate points. So if you can, I'll be shocked if Rob Gronkowski is still on that waiver. Get him, but you have to look at Mike Evans. You have to say, is Mike Evans still gonna get the same production as Godwin? Godwin sometimes can overshadow Mike Evans too, and the guy has hands. I really like Godwin a lot. I think Mike Evans is still kind of a wide receiver number one. He knows he gets up, he goes up there for the catch. He's a really talented player, but he is in his later years. I think Tom has just a little bit more chemistry than the other guys than Mike Evans. You will get a couple games, favorable matchups, but don't expect this guy to blow up every game all season. So the two players you got to push the panic button a little bit on is Ezekiel Elliott and Mike Evans.
Yeah. Another one I'm going to say, this one is just a little bit less for concern than the other two. I really said I didn't like the Atlanta offense, and I mean that. And like, I did not like Matt Ryan. I don't like what I saw out of them. I don't really know if they improved because I haven't. Atlanta has not done well in the last couple of years, and they keep continuing kind of digress. Kind of keep an eye out for Calvin Ridley. Drafted him really high. Everyone did. I did in one of my leagues. Of course, he didn't have that big of a game this week, and he's going to be a number one wide receiver multiple times, but I don't think he's going to be the number one that you would really hope for. Like, there's a lot of guys who I think are going to have better seasons, like, of course, that were taken just a little bit behind him, like CeeDee Lamb was taking a little behind him. I think Cooper Kupp's going to have a bigger season. He's a guy I'm really high on. I even go who was I thinking of? There was someone else I was thinking of, but Tyler Lockett is one who had a big game this week, who I'm like next week looking at being like, yeah, I might start Tyler Lockett over Calvin Ridley.
Don't push the panic button on DK Metcalf. He still gets generated some points. It's just Tyler Lockett it's one of those games. I've seen it all last year too, where Tyler Lockett will go off and DK would have a pretty good game, but obviously it's Tyler's game that game. But then next game it'd be DK all the way.
Yeah, Tyler's going to have his game. Tyler's my favorite fantasy player. I've said this multiple times. He's just a guy I try to get in every – I only got him in one of my leagues this year, but I always love Tyler Lockett because he's a fifth-round lock for me. When I get in the fifth round, I shoot for him. Yeah. And so if you have Tyler Lockett, you're definitely going to have – he's a great wide receiver too. DK Metcalf will eat and probably eat more than Tyler Lockett. But they could be very even. So, yeah, I think there is little cause for concern on Calvin Ridley. I think a lot of other wide receivers are going to be a little more pleased with than maybe what Calvin Ridley you'd want from him.
Now, on the defensive side, if of course in fantasy you look up for the matchups. Yeah. Obviously, that did not work for me when I picked up the Jaguars versus the Texans, and the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence absolutely got slaughtered, and that whole Jaguars team. Too many picks. It was a really dumb move, but I went for the risk, and I failed on that. But some of the defense, I think you got to look at, even though the Kansas City Chiefs came back on the Browns, that Browns defense looked really damn good in the first half. And I would actually pick up the Browns, leave them on your bench to see what they got, because they do got Myles Garrett on that defensive line. And then you also got Clowney, man. Clowney, a couple times broke free. So I would actually pick up the Browns defense, leave them on the bench, get a favorable matchup on them. I think they're going to be a pretty damn good defense.
They play Houston this week. So if you don't have a favorable matchup with the defense you have now, get them off the waiver wire, put them there. Houston won last week. Yeah, they look good, but they look good against Jacksonville. So Houston's still a team that you're going to look at like, okay, this team's starting against Houston. Okay, good. Put this team in.
Yes, I think the Browns defense are just angry from the last loss, and I think they're going to come out blazing. Also, I would look at the Raiders too. The Raiders defense, they did get a couple turnovers. They got 7 points in our league. I would also put them on the bench. I would not use them on big matchups like Kansas City, or I wouldn't even go against the Steelers, honestly. I do think they're going to get a lot of sacks. It's a 50-50 on the Steelers, honestly. But I think the Raiders defense, you got to see what they do in week 2. But I am very impressed with the defensive line. If they could hold up like that, you're going to get a lot of sacks, and you may get a lot of turnovers from that. So the Browns and Raiders, I know those are the two teams that are usually on the waiver wire. I would just pick them up, put them on your bench, and see where it goes. Defenses, you got to see throughout the weeks on who's the more
Yeah.
favorable. Of course, if you have the Steelers defense, you're in good shape. Even if you have the who was a good defense this week
I'm
one,
Denver was decent. I got them in
Cardinals.
one of my leagues. Yeah, Cardinals, of course. You got to look at the matchup there. But Chandler Jones had 5 sacks. The dude's on
Mm-hmm.
pace for 85 sacks right now. He did have a 19 sack season 2 years ago before he got hurt last season. So and JJ Watt looked really good. Their defenses should produce a lot of sacks and some turnovers. They look, of course, amazing against Titans. But
So fantasy is all about getting as much points out of your players because
yeah,
these points you could either lose by a point or win by a point. So on the kicker side, I had Crosby. Obviously, that was terrible with the Green Bay. I thought Crosby at least they had a chance for another field goal, but they didn't take it. They went on fourth down. So on the waiver wire, definitely if Carson's still on there, I don't think he would be on there, but if he is, go for Carson. He's going to
yeah,
get some absolute great points on there, especially with the Raiders who love to kick the ball field goal wise. And then also get Prater. Prater for the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to be a great offensive team once again. If Kyle Murray is still healthy, you're going to see a lot of points generated by them. If not touchdowns, it's definitely going to be Prater's job to get those points. So I would pick up Prater as well. So those are my key extra points. If you need extra points in your league, that's going to help out with being consistent. That's also going to be helping out with maybe some of your players that maybe don't have favorable matchups this week and could just any point helps. So I would go on the waiver wire, get those defense and get those kickers.
yeah. And guys, you should look at for shopping and who you should trade for. I think you should look into trading away Robbie Anderson. Didn't see that many targets, but he got points this weekend due to touchdown. I think Sam Darnold's a lot better for the Carolina offense, but I think Robbie Anderson, uh, it's Christian McCaffrey's offense, and you do have DJ Moore on the side. I don't feel like Robbie Anderson's going to be like you're going to love. I think other people are high on him. He made points this weekend, so try to shop Robbie Anderson around. Try to see if you can get a little more value in another position or somewhere else because out of him, and then look to trade for Zeke. If you can make a trade move for Zeke,
Mm-hmm.
listen, we talked down on him to be concerned from him. But at the end of the day, he's going to have his games.
Yeah.
And so if you can somehow get a valuable, like not trade away too much for him and you're trading away like a 2 wide receiver or something like not as much as like you would typically trade for a first round running back, he could be worth it. So look into trading for Ezekiel Elliott or even a guy like who played down like Najee Harris or, let people who are concerned for how week 1 went look into the players that did bad, but are going to be good, and the players who did good, who probably won't do much after this week, like Sammy Watkins.
Exactly. And also, if you're in a situation like me and you lost moisture and you have a guy that you could trade away to get Zeke, I would do that if you're confident on your wide receiver core. I'm very confident in my team. I have Matthew Stafford. I also have Jameis Winston. So if you're able to trade Jameis Winston, I would do it now because it could either go good for him in the season or it could go really bad for him. It's only week 1. So get something out of him while he has value. So if you can get a Zeke for Jameis Winston, I would pull the trigger right away, or at least a couple good decent players to have in your bench to make sure if a guy goes down, because there will be injuries this season, and I believe we already got a couple players who have COVID. So COVID is still here. So definitely need insurance. So make sure you get insurance for this year. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. We're going to have a big podcast going on the when we do the Raiders versus the Steelers, and then also we'll make a separate video next time with the fantasy football outlook. It's going to be an interesting week on fantasy wise. So you'll have a podcast with the black and yellow, and then you'll also have the fantasy football right after that on a separate video. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Overdue Bobcat 50. We can find you on Twitch, right?
Yep. Find me on Twitch at Overdue Bobcat 50.
Awesome.
I do video game stuff.
Yeah, a lot of video games. Madden 22.
No, that game's trash.
I'm glad you didn't pay for that.
No, I don't pay for that crap.
And then
greed.
also, And also, you can find me here. You can go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like the video, it would help us immensely, get the algorithm going. And then also hit the bell icon so you can be notified for all the videos we do. We're going to cover a lot of the NFL. I'm going to have a couple more Raider videos out there as well on this channel. And then also, I do movie reviews, TV reviews, you name it, I got it. Marvel is hot right now, hot cakes.
No.
So, thank you guys. I'm Danny Man, aka Daniel's son. I'll see you later, Chase. We'll talk more
See ya.
football.
Yeah, you guys have